guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought it would be quite fun to show you guys some of my GCSE artwork. So a little bit of background before we start. I did fine art GCSE and I got an A star. I was 2 marks off full, and as usual this video is not me boasting in any way. It's not me showing off my artwork, because trust me, I don't like 90% of it. But I thought it'd be fun to show you guys, and a lot of you ask, and I really like these kind of videos too, so let's get into it. So the way in which my school actually did art was we didn't have a sketchbook like the majority of schools do. The majority of videos on YouTube that I've seen about GCSE art do have sketchbooks and all these fancy things, but we just had a portfolio, and the exposure is going to go crazy when I show you this. But we had A3 portfolios like this, and basically it's just a display book, and they're A3 pockets. This is really difficult to show you guys actually, and it sets it out like this. So this is my exam portfolio, which we will get onto and I will show you at some point, but I'm going to start with my coursework first. But I've actually taken all the artwork out of the portfolios because, as you can see, the pockets are quite reflective, so it's going to be quite difficult to show you with all the light. So I've taken it all out, but we're going to start with my coursework first because it makes sense to do it in chronological order to me. So let's get into my coursework first. So for my coursework we did a floral / portraiture project. So we did a floral project, so painting flowers, drawing flowers, whatever, in year 9/10, and then in year 10/11 we did portraiture. This is why the floral elements of my coursework are pretty rubbish, and then my portraiture ones are better. So this is a fact sheet for one of the artists that I studied. I studied Ian MacArthur because I really liked his pen stuff, and I'm sort of going to whiz through this sort of stuff because I know this isn't as interesting as the actual artwork, but here is one of the artists that I studied. And then I have 2 recreations that I did of his work. So I have this recreation, I really like this one actually, and then I also have this recreation. So these are exact copies of his work. I had to do this for the exam, so this isn't my own thing. Well, I mean, I drew it, but it's a copy of his work. Then another artist that I studied was Svenhajodic? I'm really sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's German, so I'm sure someone can correct me in the comments because you all like doing that. But yeah, this is another artist that I studied, so a lot more colourful than the last one. I thought they'd be quite interesting to kind of pair with each other. And then here is a recreation of her work that I did. So it's a really cool eye. I really like this actually. I wish I could actually come up with these ideas, but these are just copies. So that is a recreation of one of her work. By the way, I am missing out some bits. I'm missing out the evaluations and the analysis and the written bits, because obviously they are the boring bits of arts, and we have got a lot to get through, which is why I'm sort of rushing through it all. But if you do want to see and have a look at them more, then obviously you can just pause the video and have a look at it longer, but that is why I'm sort of rushing, because we have a lot to get through. Then here we have another artist that I studied. I'm still in the artist bit of my portfolio. We will get onto some of my own work later, but these are just the research bits that I had to do. So the next artist is one called Wendy NG. Wendy NG? I don't know. Here is another artist, and then this is a recreation that I did of her work. I really like the style of her work. It's right up my street. So here's a recreation of that I did. Now getting on to the floral stuff, which is definitely worse than the portraiture stuff. So here is a fact sheet for George O'Keeffe. I do have this, but this is just analysis or something that I've stuck on it. This was year 9 work, as I said, so it's not as good, so let's just move on quickly. And then here are 2 of her recreations that I did. So I did these in year 8 actually, the year 8 summer holidays, so this is 4 years ago, and looking at this now it's oh no. But it's nice to see how I've progressed, to be fair. I didn't actually realise, but this is a part of the woman's body that I'm sure you can work out We didn't realise, I was year 8, okay, I was an innocent year 8, so this is in my portfolio, along with this, and then on the back of that, by the way, the reason they're stuck together is because obviously my portfolio, I have to have something to stick them together, and I just couldn't be bothered to unstick them all, so that's why they're all stuck together. And then here we have a Danielle O'Connor fact sheet, because she is another floral artist I studied. And then here we have a Marcia Baldwin fact sheet, and this, I actually really like this one. This one was done in crayon as well, and I actually really like this one. So another floral artist that I studied. Oh wow, yeah. Then we have a really nice collage of floral bits and bobs. So these are just photos of flowers that I've mushed together in some sort of mood board. I mean, it actually looks quite pretty, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, there's that. Now we are actually getting on to some interesting bits. We're getting on to my work and not just copies of other people's work. So firstly, here we have a sketch of Taylor Swift. This was the first portraiture sketch that I ever did, and to say it's my first, I'm actually quite proud of it. Then we have 2 sketches. This one is of my brother and this one is of my mum, and as you can see they have little artist influences all round. This one isn't completely black and white, which I quite like. Yeah, so there are 2 sketches, and I did actually draw these aren't recreations or anything, so. And then on the back, because as I said, they're all stuck together because that's what it's like in my portfolio, we have a sketch of my sister, which I really like, and we have a sketch of my ex-boyfriend. Obviously he was my boyfriend at the time that I drew this, and it's really annoying actually because it's probably my best sketch. But we're going to quickly move on from that now because no one needs to see that. Then we have a floral sketch, so of a flower obviously, and here we have a sketch of my best friend, and this is probably one of my favourite sketches actually. I really like the background, I just really like how it turned out. And then on the back of that we have 2 more floral sketches. Once again, not much I can really say, to be honest. They are just sketches of flowers. Then we have another sketch of a flower, and then this is a cross-hatching sketch thing. You know when you do it in pen and you have to like cross them? I mean, I've only done it once and I didn't particularly like it, but it turned out alright, so it's in my portfolio. Now we're getting on to some media trials, so this is where I actually start using paint and other things than pencil. So here we have one that I did of my friend Georgia. So you take like a sketch that you've done and then you adapt it with artist influence. So this one was influenced a lot by Ian MacArthur because of all the black and white and the pen and everything, and I actually think this is quite good. I really like this one actually. Then we have a bit of a crazy one, and this is of my mum, and this was influenced by Svenja Jodic. I really can't say her name, but that one that I showed you earlier. So this one's really colourful, and obviously it's taking that sketch and making it look completely not like that sketch, which I'm quite good at. But yeah, I really like this one. It's really colourful, and yeah. And then on the back of that we have 2 small ones. So here we have that one of Amaya and adapting it with random bits of paint, and then we have one of Emma as well. I don't really like these 2. I don't think they turned out very well. I was really bad at skin tones. I just could not get skin tones right. So they're a bit dodgy and they both look a bit blue if you're looking at them this close. Then we have another media trial of my sister Emma. So this one is very colourful. It's influenced by Svenja Jodic again, and we've got floral elements in it as well because obviously we had to incorporate the 2 into one another. Yeah, as I said before, I'm not the greatest at portraiture. I really actually didn't like portraiture. I just couldn't get the hang of it, and I just didn't like hair, I didn't like skin, I didn't like painting those sort of stuff. I really enjoyed the floral project a lot more than I enjoyed portraiture. Then we have a very interesting media trial. Oh, my analysis is falling off. So this was basically using loads and loads of different materials. I'm not actually sure what this is supposed to be, but as you can see we have all sorts on this. So we've got some fluffy thing over here, we've got plastic, newspaper, more fluffy things. Yeah, so this was a very big experimental piece that I did in year 9. Then we have a floral piece that I did in, what's that called? Oil pastel, yeah. and as you can see, I wasn't too great at oil pastel. I mixed a lot of black in there with other colours and it made it look a bit dirty. Then we have this piece as well, which I used to hate, but I don't actually mind it now. It's a sunflower, I think it's supposed to be, and it's done in oil pastel again. I used to love oil pastel. I did all my pieces in oil pastel, and then I sort of preferred watercolour, and then towards the end of like year 11, I really liked working with acrylic. So my preferences changed over time, but here was in my oil pastel phase where I absolutely loved oil pastel. Then we have 2 ICT edits that I did of flowers, and then this piece is really cool actually. It's a 3D sort of build-up of cardboard, and so it's just layers of cardboard that I've sort of cut away and made 3D. You can't really see it on camera, but it's really 3D, and I really like that one actually. And with the corrugated cardboard underneath, really nice texture. And then we have some more ICT edits that I did. I wasn't very good at ICT edits. We had to use Photoshop, but it was like Photoshop Elements or something, and you could hardly do anything on it. But here are some edits that I did. Then we're getting into some final pieces of my coursework. So firstly, this is going to be quite difficult to show you actually because these are very big. But here is my floral final piece. I don't really like it to be honest, but I had to submit it as I said. It's got really nice beads in the centre of the flowers though, that's a really nice touch, but yeah, so that is my floral final piece. And then we have my portraiture / floral final piece, because as I said we had to incorporate them. And here is this one. You're probably not even going to be able to see all of this. What if I turn it sideways? Can you see that? Anyway, so this is my portraiture final piece, and I like really bodged up the faces. I'm not quite sure what happened there. As you can see, like the forehead isn't right, and like he looks a bit boss-eyed, but there we go. I mean, it's still got a good grade, and I really like the flowers actually around. This took me ages to finish though. I was working on this for literally ages, but it turned out alright in the end. I just wish I'd like done a better job of the faces, because that's the only thing that really lets it down in my opinion. Oh, I almost forgot this actually. This is a vase that we moulded out of clay and then we painted. So, oh, this actually weighs a ton. But yeah, so I made this from scratch, which I'm quite proud of. And I think it's actually quite nice to be honest. Yeah, so that is a little vase that I made. I mean, oh, it's got so much dust in it. There's definitely a spider down there somewhere. So that was all my coursework, and now moving on to my exam stuff. So the theme that I decided to go for my exam was an illusion theme, and the one that I went for was sort of landscapes mixed with space, mixed with colours. It's hard to explain, so I'm just going to show you some of my work now and hopefully it will make sense. So as usual, I'm going to sort of skip the boring bits and just show you the more exciting bits. So firstly, this is one of the 2 artists that I studied, and it is Andy Purr. Oh, that sounded really French. Purr, I think that's how you pronounce it. So he had sort of these silhouettes of landscapes and then really bright skies, and I really liked his work, so he was one of the artists that I studied. And then here are 2 recreations that I did. You may notice that a lot of my exam work is a lot smaller than my coursework, and that is because we literally had like 3 months to do an entire project, so sort of downsized everything. So here is one of the recreations I did of his work. I really like his work. I think it's beautiful. And here is the other one. I really like this one as well. Probably like this one more than this one actually, because I just love the red sky and then like the pink mountains. I think it's really nice. Then the second artist that I studied, this is where the space theme comes in, and it is David A. Hardy, and as you can see, he focuses predominantly on space landscapes, sort of sci-fi type stuff, and I thought it'd be really interesting to incorporate the 2 together, you know, have the silhouette landscape and then like a sky with space in or whatever. And then here are the 2 recreations of his work that I did. We have this one with some purple sort of mountains, and then a really nice sort of orange galaxy sky, and then this one, which is, I'm guessing, on some planet, and it's got a big planet in the background and a small planet and another small planet. I really like his work. I think it's really cool, it's really interesting. Now getting on to some sketches that I did. Here we have this sketch. This is a landscape of a photograph that I took, I think it was in Lanzarote, and I put a big moon sort of in the corner there, added some stars in, and I'm not going to lie, for the majority of my sketches in my exam project I used watercolour or some kind of paint because it's just a lot faster and you can cover a lot more space like quicker, and I really like the effect that it has. So I did use like pencil here, but then this is all watercolour, the background is all watercolour, we've even got some acrylic in here. Then we have another sketch. This one is of ruins of a castle that's somewhere down south that I now can't remember. I think it's in Midhurst actually. So I took a photo of this, and you will see that this ruins of a castle is a theme that sort of runs throughout my whole exam project, and it ends up being in my final piece because I just think it's a really interesting element to draw and sort of explore. And then I added in this tree here that yeah, it's just sort of a wispy looking tree, and once again we've got a watercolour background. Then we have another landscape from Lanzarote. So we have this one of a nice sunset with some nice wispy clouds up here. I really like that effect actually. I think I did that with chalk. I think so, I can't remember now, but I really like this one with all the little branches around the sun. I think it's really nice. Then we have another sketch from Lanzarote. This one is of some waves around a rock, and this was actually really difficult to draw, I'm not gonna lie. And then I've started adding in some 3D elements with cardboard on the rock here just to add some texture because it was looking a bit flat. But I really like the wave effect here, you know, when they crash, and yeah. We have another sketch anyway. This one is of another seascape type thing, so we just have rocks, sea, sky, sand, you know. That was quite pretty, I like that one. And the final sketch, we have this one, and this one is of some mountainous volcano landscape in Lanzarote again. Added in a nice galaxy at the top, and then also, you can't really see it on camera, but these sort of bushes down here, a lot of them are 3D. I've stuck little bits of tissue paper all over it just to add a little bit of depth and a little bit of texture to it. Now moving on to my media trials. Firstly we have this one. Here we've taken this landscape and made it colourful basically. This is probably my least favourite media trial, to be fair. I just really don't like this, and I just think it looks very like primary colourist, but it is still pretty nonetheless. Now we have that castle again. So we have the castle now in colour, and we have some sort of fiery galaxy thing going on in the background. We've got this tree, and then also I have this really cool paint in the moon and in the tree, and it's basically like a shiny texture paint, and you probably can't see it, but when it dries it looks like it's got like cells in it. You know, if you've ever seen like a microscopic image of a cell and it has that sort of like, it looks a bit like frog eggs, almost. It looks a bit like frog eggs. Then we have probably my favourite media trial, and it's this one. So it's taking that sketch and then basically adding colour to it, and then I added like a really fiery, colourful sky like Andy Puthera. Yeah, but I really like this one. This is probably my favourite media trial. And then we have a media trial that I actually did on a canvas board, so it's quite like hard and professional looking, but it's this one with the rocks. So I've got a blue rock now, and I put more cardboard on it. I put the corrugated side up, so it adds a quite nice texture to the rock. And then once again we have that paint that has the texture of like cells in it. So the yellow paint doesn't look too good in this because the waves are white, and I then put yellow all over it, but I still really like this piece. I think it's really cool with the 3D effect. Then we have this one as well, and I think this one is really cool actually. Obviously, as you can see, this has a lot of influence from David Hardy with the massive Milky Way type thing in the background, but I think it looks really good, and I think like the purple contrasts really nicely to the red. And I really like this piece actually. I think it turned out really well. Then my last media trial that I have to show you guys is this one, and this is that sort of volcano landscape, and I've attempted to make it look like it's exploding up here, but I don't know how successfully that worked. And I think you can actually see a lot better on this one, the 3D tissue paper that I've got going on at the bottom that like tried to be bushes. But this is probably one of my least favourite media trials that I did. Lastly, moving on to the big one, we have my final piece that I did. This was for my 10-hour GCSE art exam, so the official exam that lasts 10 hours, well, it did for me anyway. I was on the old specification and I had to produce a piece in that amount of time, and this is what I produced, and I'm actually like really happy with it. I'm not sure how I'm going to show it to you because as you can see it's literally huge, but hopefully that's in. I think that might be in. So, I mean, here we go. I don't really know what to say about it, to be honest. We have a galaxy sky background, we have a big moon with the textured paint in it, we have that castle that reoccurs everywhere in my project, we have the 3D bushes, we've got the tree, we've got the sea. I mean, there is a lot going on in this piece, but I feel like it works. I mean, there's elements of it that I don't like I'm not sure why that's light around the castle, because that doesn't really look right, and I don't really know what these blobs are here, but apart from that, I really like it. I was really happy with this. And funny story, although it's not actually really very funny, after I finished this piece, I bawled my eyes out. Literally, as soon as the exam finished, and I'd finished it, and I was just looking at it, and I just started crying my eyes out. And I think it was just the relief of having finished GCSE art, because literally that was like one of the most stressful 3 months of my life, because I had to do so much in such like a short amount of time, and it literally was consuming my life. So I think it's probably just like the relief of having finished it. But yeah, so this has quite like an emotional attachment. As I said, I didn't show you everything, I just showed you the sort of interesting bits. If you are in a younger year and you're doing GCSE art, don't worry, practice makes perfect. You will undoubtedly improve over time. Everybody in my art exam was so much better in year 11 than they were in year 9. It's inevitable because practice makes perfect. So I hope you enjoyed seeing all my GCSE artwork. I had quite a lot of fun showing you guys actually, and I'm sorry that this has turned out to be a really long video, and I mean that wasn't even everything. So as usual, make sure to like, subscribe and follow my social media, which will be linked down below in the description. Bye guys!